Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Martin Clunes. In the news this week, the latest AI humanoid goes home after experiencing its first happy hour at Wetherspoons. Following sweeping welfare reforms, there are fears the government's new fitness to work assessment could be too physically challenging. And as Donald Trump's trade policy collapses into chaos, government economists in the Heard and McDonald Islands frantically try to make sense of it all. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian and actor who played Noah's son in the BBC drama The Ark, telling the biblical story of when humanity was on the brink of total disaster. But of course, he can put all that behind him now. Please welcome Ian Smith. On Paul's team tonight is a journalist and broadcaster who says the greatest privilege in journalism is to go to places, witness history and write it down. And tell that to the poor sod who's following Ed Davies' campaign trail. Please welcome Helen Lewis. And so we begin with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Ian, here's yours.
Hooray, the world's going to end. That's HS2.
That's the Chinese telling Trump where he can go.
Bit of smoke.
That's how slow car production is now in the UK.
The trouble is, anything could have happened by the time we go out. Or indeed by the time I finish this sentence. His reactions change so rapidly that, you know, the story's gone. And all his supporters have to justify it, which is the good bit. Because they say, Trump's going to stand firm, he's not going to change, he's got a spine, he's not going to buckle. Oh, he's gone. And then they say it was his plan all along.
Yeah.
They had this thing a couple of weeks ago when the new phrase was trust in Trump until somebody pointed out what the initials stand for. Stop saying it. Stop saying it.
And whenever I hear it now, I think it's President Truss, because he's done the same thing.
Yes.
He was claiming his tariff splurge was working right up until Wednesday. Let's have a look.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
Oh.
How has he got his hair so rectangular there? It's like he's done it in a jelly mould or something.
I think that's evening hair to go with that.
When I heard him talk about Liberation Day, I kept thinking it was Liberace Day. He's incredibly camp and he's got small hands and he's really bitchy.
He would love that, though.
Sorry, I thought I just saw Ian attempting to impersonate Liberace.
Sorry, Mr. Merton, it's time to take you away now.
It is. The world's turned upside down.
Honestly, to boast about other countries coming and crawling to you and kissing arse. I mean, yes, he is an arse, but...
It's really frustrating for us as well because we kissed his arse before anyone else did. That was all we had to brag, is that we were on 10%. Now everyone's on 10%.
Yeah.
Could have at least put us on, like, 9.5, isn't it?
Yeah, the bloody Penguins are on 10% and they didn't even offer up their king.
Yeah. But the Penguins are wearing suits.
Thank you very much. Anybody know how Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, described his tough negotiating stance?
Didn't she say it was the art of the deal?
She said, President Trump has a spine of steel and he will not break. And a few hours later, do you know what Trump said?
25% on steel.
You have to have flexibility.
And do you know what reason did he give for his U-turn?
People had got the yippies, or people had got yippee.
That's absolutely right.
I think that's a golfing term, I think.
Let's have a look. Yeah, well, he's a golfer, isn't he? He's no politician.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
I thought yippee was what you said when something was good.
See the stunned expressions of the people standing around him.
I mean, the good thing is, for those people, it's the first time they're hearing it too.
But when people asked the White House questions about what had changed, the spokespeople didn't know. He hadn't told anybody. Maybe he hadn't told himself. It was just totally incoherent.
I think that he's taking credit for reversing one of the most catastrophic decisions in the history of the American presidency.
Yeah, it's like the fireman who comes in and says, OK, I set fire to the place, but look, I'm putting it out now.
I wonder how Liberace would deal with a house. I wonder what that would look like. Your house is on fire.
Yeah. And now I'm watching you do Liberace.
Yeah. And nobody recognised who it was.
Do you know how his team put a spin on his blinking Paul?
Liberace? I've no idea. Oh, no, they just thought, they said, oh, it's probably... They come up with all this nonsense about how he's some genius or something instead of having the intelligence of a brick. He plays fourth-dimensional chess or something, somebody said at one point.
According to one Trump insider, some people seem to think Trump's playing chess, when most of the time the staff are just trying to stop him from eating the pieces. And do you know who was ahead of everyone else in predicting what would happen?
Mystic Meg.
It was the Daily Star, who on Tuesday published this comparison with Liz Truss on their front page. Do you know who might be getting out of the US before things get too tough?
The entire population.
It's Percy Pig. Percy's handlers, Marks and Spencers, are worried that bags of gelatinous chew will break the $4 mark and stop the Americans buying them. So they're thinking of pulling Percy out. I did that at a party once, and I still regret it. Moving on. The equation for working out the tariffs has been ridiculed as childish. How did Trump's team try and enhance the credibility of their calculations?
They put Greek letters in it on the basis that looks kind of fancy.
They did. Let's have a look. Yeah. Which is either a very complex formula or the name of Elon Musk's youngest.
They've actually put President Xi's name in.
I know.
Xi minus
Me?
I mean, you say Trump and Xi, I'm sure it's just a coincidence there's also two arseholes in there.
Ian, here's a question for you.
Which Ian?
What?
You.
Oh,
Any will do.
Yeah.
we should have nicknames. Have you ever had a nickname?
I have.
The accused.
Yeah. Big Smitty and the Accused.
Big Smitty. What's a pannikin?
Well, yesterday I Googled what is a tariff, so I don't think I've...
It's one of Trump's jokes.
Is it a panicking Republican?
There you go. In his own words, it's a new party based on weak and stupid people.
Which he isn't leading, to be clear.
It's meant to be a play on the word Republican. It doesn't work on any level. Do you want to hear another Trump joke?
Yeah, well, I don't think I've heard one yet, but...
White House gardeners have had to cut down a magnolia tree planted by President Andrew Jackson around 1830. And it was replaced with a new sapling, which Trump has called the magnolia tree. You see? The 200-year-old magnolia tree that replaced has seen a lot of presidential history. Andrew Jackson planted it, FDR sat in its shade, and Joe Biden walked into it 8 times. Does anybody know what Trump is using as a barometer for his success since taking office?
Oh, the number of times he gets taken to court?
Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Eggs. So when I got in, the press went absolutely crazy the first week. They said, eggs have quadrupled in price. I said, I just got here. Tell me about it.
Shock news, eggs are going up.
Yeah, and Netanyahu's thrilled. Can we bomb them now? The Republican whip, Tom Emmer, speaking at a Republican dinner, summed up how everyone's feeling about Trump now.
President Trump is counting on it.
And we in the UK haven't imposed any tariffs yet. So Keir Starmer's keeping calm. Kemi Badenoch is... it doesn't matter what she thinks. Do we know what Ed Davey's doing?
Has he erected a series of hurdles at 10, 15% levels and is jumping? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, he's telling us to buy British. Let's have a look at this.
There's this guy, he's called President Trump, and he's messing with our trade and he's hurting us. Liberal Democrats say, fight back, buy British. And so I'm here in the Highlands in Scotland and I'm saying, buy square sausage.
It's harder to see how you can talk out of tune.
It probably just doesn't feel very comfortable that he's not on water.
So this is Donald Trump's pause in tariffs for everyone but China. The USA and China's trade war has been described in the newspapers as tit for tat. America's got the tit and China's bringing the tat. Trump's tariffs policy has been strongly defended by the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Apparently the only other candidate for the job was Ron Take-It and Bob Leggett. Some of the highest tariffs have been imposed on Vietnam, Cambodia and Thailand, threatening the jobs of millions of children. The UK is now considering putting tariffs on US products, including American toilet seats. Apparently they're number 2 export.
Yeah.
Paul and Helen, here's yours.
Yes, this is a man dressed as a rat. This is the sad situation in Birmingham at the moment. Oh, there's a 1928 cartoon suggesting that rats are pouring into Birmingham, which they are. So, yes, this has been going on now. How long is it, a month?
A month now, yeah, and they declared is it not a state of emergency? Is probably overselling it slightly, but they certainly invoked emergency powers.
Major incident.
There we go.
January, I think it started.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
It's been going on for quite a while. Yes, it's all a bit serious, isn't it? It's been
Covered in 23,000 tonnes of festering rubbish. But on the plus side, Only Fools and Horses, the musical's on at the Birmingham Hippodrome.
Someone suggested they should bring in the army. It does sound like the beginning of one of those adverts where they say, if you can collect a bin, you can drive a tank.
Yeah.
We always go to the army very quickly on a situation. It doesn't feel like it's army level. What about lifeguards?
Collecting rubbish isn't actually as straightforward as you might think, at least not judging by this man. According to The Sun, the streets were being invaded by rats the size of cats. The I newspaper said locals had reported seeing rats the size of cats. And you guessed it, the Daily Mail said the city was being overrun by rats the size of baby monkeys.
They just need to send in cats the size of dogs.
Then where does it end? It's dogs the size of horses. And before you know it, it's
And
all
then you've
over.
got an old woman swallowing a fly at the end of it.
Birmingham City Council say that they have made a fair offer to workers. Meanwhile, the Secretary of State for Local Government, Angela Rayner, has contributed to the situation by... nothing, apparently.
The government is refusing to act to actually clear this rubbish. The council won't clear it. The union won't back down. The council lost £1 billion on an equal pay dispute because the binmen, which we're not allowed to call them anymore, they're waste recovery and disposal operatives, I think.
Well, they used to be called refuse collectors, but people thought that meant that they refused to collect.
Well, I think the Birmingham Council is so incompetent, they thought they owed £750 million on equal pay claims, and then they went, oh, it's actually only £250 million.
Let's take a look at how agency bin men, drafted in to replace those on strike, reacted when they saw a rat. Here comes the big one. Go on, my son. Wes Streeting has said that the situation needs to be resolved as people's health is now at risk. Did anybody hear him on Radio 4's Today programme this week? Oh. Here he is, shedding some light on a major issue of the day in an interview with Nick Robinson.
Forgive me, this has been turning into a party election broadcast before, and I want to ask you some questions, if I may.
No, it's not.
There are
it's
still
reporting
shortages
back
of
to people
doctors,
on what we're
aren't
actually,
there? Well, let's report back on
doing.
on the reality. Is there a shortage of
cynicism? It's important that we do report back on what we're actually doing.
So that's cleared that up. So this is the news that the streets of Birmingham are piled high with rat-infested bin bags blocking pavements. In fact, it's so bad that Lenny Henry can't get out of his Premier Inn. The Mail Online gave this graphic illustration of how bad the rat problem is. It's not the best way to sell a glove on eBay, is it?
People who like this item also like it.
Yes, it's time now for round 2.
Oh, yes.
And with the news that overfishing may lead to a shortage of mackerel, what better time to employ the fishing rod of news?
Yes.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Yep. Well, the float doesn't even match the one that you've got there. Universal are going to build a big, sort of like a multi-acre park in Bedford, somewhere near Luton Airport. It's going to take 6 years to build, but it's going to create 28,000 jobs.
Keir Starmer tried to make a joke. He said, when people said getting into politics would be a roller coaster, I didn't think they meant like this.
Jesus Christ.
He also said it's going to put Bedford on the map. Which is news to maps, I think.
Well, Lisa Nandy told BBC Breakfast the park was likely to feature rides based on British favourites like Harry Potter, Paddington and James Bond.
What do you get there?
The Guardian suggested the park could feature a Minions-themed ride called the Loop-de-doo-deep. Doop-deep.
Do you know what you're saying?
Just reading out this collection of letters.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my favourite Minions fact?
Yeah.
Which is that canonically they serve the most evil person in the world at any time. So they've had to write it into Minions law that they were accidentally buried underground in the years like 1930 to 1945.
That's
Be a
brilliant.
very interesting prequel, though, isn't it? It's annoying that we're going to have a Minions-themed roller coaster before HS2's completed. I read an article that said one of Universal's biggest films was Oppenheimer. If you want an Oppenheimer theme park, just nuke Bedford.
They're expecting 8.5 million visitors in the first year. Here's an artist's impression of what the park will look like.
I don't want to alarm you, but one of the bits at the top of it is on fire.
The BBC News went down there to have a look. Let's see how the builders are getting on.
Yes, I'm standing on the site. As you can see, there's a big pile of bricks behind me. I'm standing in some brick rubble.
The Tourism Minister, Chris Bryant, responded to the news by saying, "This will be absolutely transformational for the British tourism industry if we manage to pull it off." What's the particularly good news for the locals of Bedford?
Jobs.
A train station?
They haven't promised that, but they have promised a dedicated slip road off the A41. As local MP Chris Curtis said, they say dreams only come true in Hollywood, but soon you will just need to take the A421 to Bedford. And whilst we're on the subject of the A421, does anybody know what its claim to fame is? It was once the location of the fastest speeding incident ever recorded by British police when a man from Leamington Spa was filmed travelling at 157 miles per hour on the Tingewick bypass.
Was he in a car?
In other news, what was Boris Johnson filmed doing with an ostrich this week? No.
Are you going to show it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, Christ!
Really, some people never forget Brexit.
Let's hope that ostrich has had its jabs.
His wife posted that.
It's called a vendetta.
Last week we had footage of a woman being attacked by an ostrich, and do you think they've sort of just copied that idea?
Oh, yes, come on, Carrie, let's go and find an ostrich and do a funny clip.
Yeah.
We'll go viral!
Yeah, this'll get me back as Prime Minister.
Do you think he put a bag of sort of nuts and seeds in his lap in an attempt to make...
Not for the first time. That's how he did it.
Yeah.
Half a box of trill down there.
Yeah.
In other investing in Britain news, who's been showing an interest in British business? The Japanese ambassador to the UK paid a visit to the Sarson's malt vinegar factory in Manchester. Let's have a look at that.
Just can't think of fish and chips without Sarsons.
Is this a hostage video? What's he done wrong?
He was chewing that like it was a Bush Tucker trial. He's been doing lots of this, though. He's having the best time of anyone in Britain currently. He just goes and looks at things and goes, oh, this week, Welsh cakes. It's just a great way to live.
So this is Universal's announcement of a new theme park in Bedford. By the way, if you're an American tourist and you're wondering how to get to Bedfordshire, it's up the wooden stairs. One of the attractions at the Universal theme park in Florida is based on Dracula.
Oh.
Which is a bit annoying, as obviously it's not open during the day. It says, get your rod out. Here we go. Fingers on buzzers, teams. There it goes.
The King and Queen have visited Rome, and that's the Colosseum. They were disappointed to find out that no shows are happening that day. They haven't happened for a few hundred years.
He did some of his speech in Italian.
Yeah, amazing.
Which I didn't feel represented Britain very well. I think he should have just shouted his speech in English very loudly.
And he got to meet the Pope as well, which was quite something.
It's a big 20th wedding anniversary present, meeting the Pope. That's what they were out there for, 20th wedding anniversary. Usually 20th is China, but the tariffs are so high now.
Very good. Yeah, how have royal observers been describing the trip?
Huge success.
Massive lash. It was huge.
An exercise in soft power, where, according to the British ambassador, Lord Llewellyn, the royal couple will do something intangible but priceless. Or, as Camilla told one onlooker, any excuse to be in Italy.
They met Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister.
They walked past some massive guards. Real whoppers. Look at this. Look at them. Loads of them.
There was incredible video footage of them listening to the national anthem from behind a hedge. Do you have that? I mean, they look like a sort of naughty seaside postcard. You can just see the top of them peeking over. It's delightful.
We do have that clip.
Could be a topiary tribute.
Do you think they forgot to get dressed or something?
Yes.
They just said, quick, get on the balcony now!
King Charles presented Italy's President Mattarella with the Knight Grand Cross of the Order of the Bath. And Camilla was given a margherita pizza.
Which is named after Queen Margherita of Italy. I think a lot of the pizzas are named after royals, like Prince Sloppy Giuseppe. But it's weird seeing a royal have a pizza, I think.
Why?
You're thinking of Prince Andrew?
The King also enjoyed another visit recently. The London Vegetable Orchestra came to see him at Windsor Castle.
Yes.
And he played the carrot.
He did.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah. One is reminded of Keir Starmer's relationship with Donald Trump.
He's game, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
How many other heads of state would play a carrot?
Yeah, if you presented Donald Trump with the hollowed-out aubergine, he wouldn't get a tune out of it. And that's why Britain is still great.
Yeah.
This is the royal visit to Rome. The Queen told reporters that the secret to a lasting marriage was laughing at the same thing. Like Meghan's new Netflix show. During their state visit, the King and Queen had an audience with His Holiness at the Vatican, although there was an awkward moment when Camilla nipped out for a fag and the crowd thought they'd elected a new pope. So it's time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Ian, your four are a hawk in Flampstead, a pilot flying from LA to Shanghai, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, and a Tunnock's tea cake.
The hawk has been attacking people.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He attacked the same man twice, didn't he, and stole his hat.
I come from the north. I once saw a man throw a pigeon at another man like a weapon. Just as a side note.
So, come on, what's the odd one out?
Well, has the pilot also been flying at the same person?
The Tunnock's tea cakes have just been allowed back on planes. When I was younger, they weren't allowed on planes because everybody thought they blew up.
Did they have jelly night in them? What?
In this realm where dreams collide, you and I, a perfect ride. Electric hearts in tangled lines, sparks ignite beneath the signs. Love's a code, a random glitch, yet I feel such a powerful twin. Electric hearts in...
Back then, was it like lower food standards?
And one of the ingredients is Semtex.
No, I haven't made that up, have I?
No, you haven't. They've been on the RAF's no-fly list since 1965, when a Tunnock's tea cake on board a nuclear bomber exploded and sprayed marshmallow all over the pilot's cockpit.
Well, they are flying again, and Lindsay Hoyle is the speaker. He's defending going around in private jets and taking a lot of flights. So it's about who's allowed to fly.
Yeah.
I think the hawk's been captured, so
That's right.
It doesn't fly anymore. Yeah. And pilots, even though they're stressed, they're still flying.
No, they've all been prevented from flying, apart from Sir Lindsay Hoyle, who's been criticised for taking too many first-class flights. According to the Daily Mail, Lindsay Hoyle has billed taxpayers £250,000 for foreign trips in 2 years, including £180,000 on first and business class flights. And it's not just their flights he's enjoyed either. He's been charging for expensive meals and five-star hotels as well. One Freedom of Information request revealed that flights for a 9-day trip to South Africa and St Helena cost the taxpayer £21,300.
Good grief, he sits in the restaurant going, order!
Do you know what the slogan they've come up with for the campaign against him? Oh. Just stop Hoyle. Yeah. How's he justified his flights?
I like it.
I think he said speakers in other countries have private jets on hand all the time.
He told The Times, "It's about using my power and influence to speak out because it's about speaking truth to power to the Chinese and to Russia," he shouted from South Africa. According to the Mail, he said that speakers in other nations have their own aircraft and travel around the world all the time without criticism. He said speakers going to other countries to represent the House was nothing new. And Douglas Clifton Brown went to the front line in Normandy in 1944. And similarly, Hoyle went to the Ritz-Carlton in Los Angeles in 2023. The RAF have approved Tunnock's tea cakes for flights after a series of rigorous tests in an altitude chamber in Bedfordshire.
Oh, that could be a new thing.
Could be a ride, couldn't it? Yes.
Not ride the Tunnock tea cake explosive ride.
Should we see what happens to a rapidly decompressed Tunnock's tea cake?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Stand by for rapid decompression in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
Was this by any chance filmed on April the 1st?
I I was expecting more. I was expecting bits of marshmallow to be ricocheting off the chamber rather than a sort of splodge.
Well, I think the old tea cakes would have done that.
Because of woke. They don't put Semtex in tea cakes anymore because of woke.
Yeah.
Do you want to know who invented the Tunnock's tea cake?
Was it Tunnock?
It is Sir Archibald Boyd Tunnock, who invented the tea cake in 1956. There he is. Look. He thought it invented contact lenses, but...
His moustache just looks like he's eating a tea cake really quickly.
And how has the hawk in Flamstead been prevented from flying?
The man who got attacked's wife has caught it.
Yeah, he's been caught and taken in a sinister turn of phrase to undergo retraining. He's gone to live on a farm. Why was a pilot flying from Los Angeles to Shanghai stopped from flying?
Drunk.
No.
Wasn't a pilot.
The plane had to make a U-turn 2 hours into the flight because the pilot didn't have his passport with him. Do you want to see the route he took?
It looks like the beginning of Donald Trump's autograph. I would hate to leave an airport where the security was lax.
And guess how United Airlines compensated passengers?
Tea cake?
They got a $15 meal voucher. The plane eventually landed at Shanghai's Pudong Airport 6 hours late, causing a bit of a ding-dong at Pudong. So they've all been prevented from flying except for Lindsay Hoyle, who's been flying too much. The village of Flamstead in Hertfordshire was left in terror after a spate of hawk attacks. According to the Telegraph, postmen stopped delivering mail and scaffolders left work unfinished. And then the hawk attacks began. The flight from LA to Shanghai was delayed for 6 hours, which irritated and annoyed most of the passengers, although it did give Lindsay Hoyle a chance to enjoy another cocktail and a cucumber face mask. Paul and Helen, your four are Theresa May, a kitten, Love Island, and Robert Gascoigne Cecil, the third Marquis of Salisbury.
How come, considering how old that guy is in the bottom right picture, why is he next to a flat-screen TV?
Him, Salisbury.
He was Prime Minister.
Yeah.
A couple of times. It could be they were all involved in the scramble for Africa. No?
Is that a game show? Lord Salisbury, his nephew became Prime Minister. That was Balfour, Arthur Balfour. And this is how the phrase Bob's your uncle came about, because his first name was Robert. But that doesn't help me any further, unless that kitten's called Bob.
Oh, it does help you.
It does.
It does help you.
Surely it's about kitten heels. Everyone there.
Is that the name of somebody in Love Island?
Yeah, she was the star. Theresa May wears kitten heels, very famously. The kitten's got heels. And the Marquis of Salisbury, unknown to most of his contemporaries, appeared repeatedly at the dispatch box wearing leopard print trousers.
OK, well, we'll pick an odd one out. We'll say it's the kitten.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
It is the kitten.
Yeah, because they've all inspired slang words, apart from a kitten, which has inspired a new word added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Is it a word about cuteness? Is it like small or something like that?
Kittenish.
Come on. It's a new word.
Small and uwu are new words. Ian, do you know what small and uwu mean?
No.
Yeah.
What do they mean?
Small means small in a cute way, and uwu is like a cat's little face, like peeking up over something.
OK, stop now. The Oxford English Dictionary has included the word eagle in its latest edition. It's a so-called untranslatable word borrowed from the Tagalog language, which means a feeling so intense that it gives us the irresistible urge to tightly clench our hands, grit our teeth, and pinch or squeeze whatever it is we find so adorable. Or, as The Guardian put it, have you ever held a fluffy and adorable kitten and felt a strong urge to squeeze its head?
Tell me about the Love Island slang.
OK, do you know how it's inspiring linguists?
Yes, a
Love
lot
Island?
of its phrases have passed into common parlance. They're used all the time. The contestants describe each other as very agreeable.
Well, the words that they're using are proving popular with Americans. According to research at Northern Arizona University, popular words include bonkers, kerfuffle and flummox.
They're not from Love Island.
They're also starting to say trousers instead of pants and queue instead of line.
I had a cat called Kerfuffle once.
Oh.
Oh, did you ever sminge it? Whatever it was, geegill. Other words on the list include dodgy, wonky, snarky, cheeky, bugger, bollocks, and twee. If they'd used those names for the Seven Dwarfs, the Snow White remake would have been a whole lot better, wouldn't it? And who is Robert Gascoigne Cecil III? Oh, you've answered that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, the slang, because he was the original Bob in Bob's Your Uncle.
Yes.
What about Fanny?
I don't think we've got time, have we? There's a woman put her hand up in the front row.
She's your aunt. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, but nobody knows why.
No, nobody knows.
Nobody knows what that's named after. Do you know what Lord Salisbury did do in his spare time? He liked to ride his tricycle through St James's Park in a purple velvet poncho with a footman to push him up the hills.
That's Theresa May brought into the English language.
Her great catchphrase has now become a slang, which is Brexit means Brexit. Kids playing football started using the phrase Brexit.
Oh, yeah, I did
Brexit.
see that. And it was a particularly vicious tackle.
It means a no-nonsense, full-blooded tackle with little to no regard for the consequences or the mess left behind. Whilst we're talking about football, Ian, did you see the Australian politician Peter Dutton do on a football pitch this week?
No.
Yes.
They've all inspired slang words, apart from a kitten, which has inspired a new word added to the Oxford English Dictionary. Another new addition comes from South Africa, and it's the word moggy, meaning an extremely irrational person who is out of touch with reality, as in Jacob Rees-Moggy. It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Keyboard Cavalcade, the magazine for home keyboard players. Electric keyboards can sound like any instrument and come with dozens of different settings. My favourite is off. And we start with Torval and Dean reveal they are addicted to what? Off you go.
Feels like libel payouts is the ultimate answer.
Licking the ice and making your tongue stick to it.
You're not a million miles away.
Oh, putting other body parts on the ice and making them stick to it.
They're addicted to ice baths. You should watch out, they can make your boleros shrink. Next, the most annoying thing you can do on a train journey is what?
Blindfold the driver.
The answer is nothing. This is a TikToker whose list of rudest commuting behaviour is topped by someone just staring at you. I completely agree, especially when they follow it up with, "Come on, sir, where's your ticket?" Next, if you're into keyboards and are looking for a new experience, come down to Chipperfield Baptist Church, where we'll be what?
Reviving the dead to the popular sounds of Chaz and Dave, the 80s popular duo.
I'll take that. They'll be activating the organ's hand-pumping mechanism.
Oh.
Wow.
I couldn't have been more wrong.
Next, those attending Bournemouth Library's what must sit on a towel?
I know this one, I saw this one. Those attending Bournemouth Library's annual Cack Your Pants for Charity Day must sit on a towel. It's health and safety. You're mad.
It's a nude writing workshop.
Ooh.
Next, woman who what to see what it was like ends up what?
Woman who tried running for Tory leader to see what it was like ends up hating every minute of it.
A woman who dropped a suitcase on her foot to see what it was like ended up breaking her foot. This is a woman from Cumbria who broke her foot after deliberately dropping a full suitcase on it to see if it would hurt as part of a TikTok trend. She ended up with a bad case of tic-toc-toe. Hey. Next, every edition of Keyboard Cavalcade sees Tom Horton what?
Take his clothes off on page 3.
Expanding the definition of human misery.
He offers up his tips and twiddles. If you want to see Tom showing off his tips and twiddles on his organ, be very, very careful how you Google that. Next, Emmanuel Macron won't leave the house without wearing what?
A supercilious grin. Wearing out his wife's patience. Wearing out his wife's pants.
It's scent. I read this story. He wears a huge amount of scent.
Cheeky devil.
It's called cologne when it's men. And the answer is an industrial quantity of cologne. According to insiders, Emmanuel Macron wears a lot of aftershave as a way of marking his territory. Donald Trump just pees in the corner. Next, what is as tall as an emperor penguin with the poundage of a newborn horse?
I think it's the average rat in Birmingham.
Could it be Kim Jong-un?
The world's largest cream egg. And here it is, this massive chocolate cream egg.
Oh, wow. Yes.
How do they get the top off so neatly?
It's very neat, isn't it? And that filling in the top, I'm not convinced. I think it's a fake.
Is that just a groan of desire?
And finally, theatre-goers at a Tina Turner musical surprised to discover what?
It's not simply the best. Theatre-goers at Tina Turner musical surprised to discover the musical is actually about a man who rotates fish. That's right, a tuna turner.
Yes. Tina Turner would not be starring. Tina Turner sadly no longer with us, but the theatre in London felt obliged to offer the following disclaimer. Please note that Tina Turner will not be appearing in this production. And I've also got some bad news for anyone who's got tickets to see Richard III. So the final scores. Ian and Ian have caught up handsomely with 4, but Paul and Helen still smashing it with 5.
Oh, well done.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
King Charles is third in line to try a drink that turns you into a bald man wearing glasses.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Ian Smith, Paul Merton and Helen Lewis. And I leave you with news that there's a deflating moment for the King as it's explained that he has nothing to unveil and is simply visiting a curtain factory. At Mar-a-Lago, there are fears that Donald Trump may be sleepwalking again. And there's controversy in the latter stages of the Champions League as Borussia Dortmund introduce a new striker with a unique genetic advantage. Good night.